I grew up in Stockton. I went to Lincoln High School. Go Trojans. And I remember, I became a Christian. I started telling all my friends about Christ. But you guys, I didn't really get what God was like. It was just like a youth group thing. It was just like a religious thing. And yes, I believed in Jesus. And yes, I believed he died on the cross for me. But I didn't understand what God was like. And so I was very casual about him. In fact, I even remember going into the ministry and 18 years old. I was an intern. And I went into ministry. And I didn't have a real reverence for God. I didn't have a real fear of him. And in fact, I had another job when I was an intern, because you don't make any money as an intern. And so I used to sell vacuum cleaners door to door. Do you guys have the Kirby guys come to your door still? I was one of those guys. Okay, right over there off of Lower Sacramento Road, or by Hammer Lane over there in Stockton. I used to go door to door selling these vacuum cleaners for $1,400. This was back in the 80s. I'm going door to door trying to sell a vacuum cleaner for $1,400. But that was my day job, and at night I would teach the youth about God. And it was crazy. And I just remember how depressing it would get. And then I had, this guy who was, helping me sell. We were working together. And I remember we were at lunch one day, and he goes, "Hey, let's do something different at this next house." And I go, "All right, what do you want to do?" He goes, "Let's pretend you don't speak English." And I go, "Well, what's that going to do?" He goes, "You just do the whole demonstration in Chinese, and I'll translate it for you." I mean, this is this big white guy, and I'm like, "You don't speak Chinese?" He goes, "I'll fake it." And I'm like, okay. And I trusted him because he was an awesome liar. And so I went home, and I put on this Chinese jacket that Grandma sent me from Hong Kong that I could never wear in public, but I bring it. And you guys, seriously, with no rehearsal whatsoever, no plan whatsoever, we go up to this door, Ted knocks on it. He goes, "Hi, my name's Ted. This is my partner, Yan Fan," and that's really my Chinese name. Don't laugh at that. And he goes, "This is my partner, Yan Fan," and I just go, and you guys, so we're in this house, right? And you ever been in one of those places where you can't laugh, you can't even crack a smile, but everything in you is dying? And so you're like turning your head. Dude, it was hilarious, And I just pull this thing out of the box, and I just start going. I go, "呢個吸塵機真係犀利啊," And Ted just starts making things up. He goes, "Oh," he says, "it's a New Year's model, just came out," just going off on this thing. We were just doing everything we can not to laugh, right? But then it gets to this point where the lady asked Ted to ask me a question. And I thought, "Oh, no." She's just something silly, like, "Hey, ask him how many brothers he has," And Ted looks at me, and he just goes, "Zhang Qing Zhang Zhang." It just starts making the dumbest sounds. And I just go, I laughed so hard. That was the dumbest thing I ever heard. Or I'm on the ground. We're both laughing now to where we're crying. Like, I can't believe that. We're just laughing. And then this lady goes, "What's so funny?" And he goes, "Oh, I told him a joke." And we kept going. Seriously, I promise you, she didn't even know. We're doing this whole routine, This one point, Ted goes to the bathroom and leaves me alone with her, and she would just go, "Hi," I'm like, "Oh," she goes, she'd look at me and she'd go, "Hello," and I would just be like, "Oh, hello," I would just play it along, right, Ted would come back. It's like, "Look what I taught Yan Fan." Okay, I'm like, "Hello, table." It just, it was insane. Okay, long story short, we get to the end of the deal. The lady, bottom line, Ted starts making up the story at the end, going, man, I've been trying to help Jan Fan. This guy has been struggling so much, with everything else, and just laying it on, just this crazy story of me trying to make it in America. And this woman buys the vacuum. And I remember we get back in the car, we're driving away, just laughing. I'm telling him everything that happened when you were in the bathroom, this, what you did. We're just laughing all the way down the street. Then he looks at me, he goes, this works. We started doing this in every house. And we did get caught a couple of times. They're like, come on, that's not fair. Like, all right, you got it. But most of the time, we were able to pull it off. And most of the time, people would buy it. Just out of pure heart, like sadness. Because that's just what Ted did. And I remember houses where I remember one house when they asked, how much is it? Ted said $2,000. And the lady bought it. We pocketed an extra $600 over our $450 commission as it was. So we made over $1,000. But this is back in the 80s. Okay? So this is what I do during the day. Then at night, I'm like, kids, open up the Bible. And I'm, in my head, I'm thinking, it doesn't matter. They don't know. You see, this was my mindset. It was like, well, I can live this way. I can do this. But man, I still remember, okay, because no one was catching me on anything. But I still remember everything changing one day. And it set me on this different path. I remember the day I saw God. Okay, and I don't mean he came down and I saw him. I'm talking about the day when by myself I was reading this book and suddenly I read a description of him. And I thought, no one ever described him like that to me. I remember reading verses about God and just how it talks about how the whole world, he sits above the vaults of the earth, and its inhabitants are like grasshoppers. I thought, man, so there's a being like that? You see, growing up in church, man, whenever I would think of God, I would think about those paintings I'd see on the wall, right? Of Jesus with long blonde hair holding sheep. And everyone telling you, oh, Jesus is your best friend, and aw, hug me, Jesus. This is all you think. No one ever described God the way the Bible described him. And I was like, man, are you kidding me? That's what God's like? You guys, it changed everything when I understood the holiness of God.